Hello, welcome back, and today we're doing Saturday catch-up in the office. Instead of sitting here and doing the accounts and pressing buttons on the computer and parcelling a few things up, I thought I'd get out a few microphones and bring them into here, an audio space that is not the best in the world, and try and do a comparison with some mics in spaces that might be more akin to what you have at home. We're not all lucky enough to be able to work in nice sounding spaces, and I figured my office is probably a good place to try recording and see how it works. Now, what we've done, we've got our usual Sm7b microphone for comparison, the one we've been using. We've got a 414 which I've popped out, and then I've got a selection of shotgun microphones. Tricky for indoors, yes? No, not really. One of the very important things to remember about the internet is sometimes the information you're given is a bit inaccurate, often with good intentions, but a bit inaccurate. It's very common to see internet forums and various chat rooms where they will tell you that you do not use shotgun microphones indoors. They don't work, they sound horrible, they're terrible things, all that sort of stuff. Well, okay, let's look at a typical shotgun. This particular one is designed actually for the Sennheiser 416, but I've managed to squeeze into here an Audio Technica, which is a bit longer than a 416. So long that I've had to remove the end of the XLR connector just to be able to get the rear on. Now, we'll start with this. Let's do our comparison with this one. So what do we have? We've got this sound. So this is the sound of the Audio Technica, which in actual fact is an 815 model, if anybody's interested. It's an Audio Technica 815 inside here, pointing at my mouth, and I'm holding it in my hand, in the Zeppelin windshield, which has got internal isolation mounts, so they're pretty quiet. The Zeppelin windshield is designed, of course, to trap still air inside that cover. So even in a really strong wind, hopefully the air currents inside the housing are much, much less. Because the one thing you'll notice with shotgun microphones is that a breeze is a gale in shotgun terms. If you go outside and you can just feel the wind on your face, the shotgun will be hearing it like a force 10. It's just how they work. You can't use them naked. They've got to be covered. And those foam windshields are pretty naff. The best one that you can get, in my view, are the ones made by Rycote. A Zeppelin cover like this will need a furry cover over the top. The idea of the long head fur is that those little, half an inch length long bits of fur wave in the breeze, and that also removes some of the energy from the wind coming through. So it's got to go through the fur fabric first, then it has to cross the empty space inside here, then it lands on your microphone. And you really need covers of this time. I mean, the Sennheiser one is quite nice. It's not my favourite for one reason. I had two of these and I've destroyed the other. I've mentioned in the past that I'm a bit clumsy, and I sat on the damn thing and it shattered it. The plastic rings either end completely disintegrated. It's my fault. Can't blame the actual housing. They're quite tough, really, but they're not going to survive being sat on, and that's what I did to this one. Anyway, the rule about not using shotguns inside, it comes from two things. You need to treat the shotgun microphone like a torch, illuminating a mouth. If you move the shotgun, the very narrow pattern means that it misses your mouth. And then because of what they are, they'll pick up and capture very well what they're pointing at. I'll show you what I mean. So if I turn it 20 degrees, it's now pointing at the wall. It's not pointing at my mouth. Now we can make the gain up that we've lost. I'll do that anyway. So we've got the volume back, but what we're doing is hearing what's bouncing off that wall behind me. And that is what gives badly positioned shotguns the bad press. It's not the shotgun's fault. There are, you know, if you point a torch and miss my face, you'll illuminate the wall. Why would you be surprised to see the wall and not your mouth when you're not pointing at it? If I bring it back, the sound quality changes quite drastically. So that's the bad press part. A lot of it comes from inexperienced or lazy boom ops, sadly. It hurts your arms to hold a boom horizontal above your head. After a couple of minutes it starts to get twingy. After 5 minutes you think your arms are going to fall off. So the lazy or the inexperienced ops who are not being trained properly will tuck the end of the boom onto their belt and hold it like a fishing rod. What actually happens is the end of the microphone then tips up and points at the wall again. So that's where it comes. You know, you get back to bass, stick the audio into an editor, and you've got to do something with audio like this. So you can amplify it a bit, you can EQ it a bit, but it's still going to sound pretty horrible. The solution is just a tilt. Bring it back to point at the mouth and you've sorted it properly. So that's the directional part of these things. It's a real problem. Used properly, I firmly believe you can use them indoors quite happily. I'll explain in a minute. What I'm going to do now is give you some audio from a range of shotguns at a range of distances so you can make a decision for yourself. I've got them spread about around me and I'm going to point to them and tell you what they are, tell you some things about them, and then you'll be able to make a decision. So I'm going to go to the other camera first. So the camera lens is about 2 meters away from me. Immediately above it is a short shotgun. Now realistically it's so short it's not really a shotgun at all. The little interference tube, the tube with slots in that you see, needs to be relatively long to give you a decent directional pattern. These ones have got one about that big. So they're a little bit like a hyper, but they're nothing special. It's a fairly standard feature on most cameras now to give you a slightly wider than maybe nice mic on the front, because the wide ones work nicely on the wide angle setting on a lens. Zoom microphones don't really work that well. So there is no corresponding zoom microphone apart from ones that are bigger and bigger and bigger. So you're listening to me on the camera audio. Now, right next door to the camera, the same distance away, 2 meters, is an AKG 451 microphone fitted with a CK9 capsule. If you Google CK9 AKG, you'll come up with some crazy pictures of an incredibly long microphone. So long that they're impractical. I don't even have a windshield for this one because the windshield that fits a CK9 is just stupidly long. It's so heavy you can't really use it on a boom that well, so it's a bit of a limited thing. I've got it indoors here, and it does come in handy if I'm doing perhaps a recording with someone who's maybe a dancer. So I'm finding it very difficult to hide a microphone on them because of the clothing they're wearing, but I need to hear their voice when they're talking, perhaps an instructional video, that sort of thing. So I can point a CK9 at them inside from a distance and it works quite well. So anyway, so that is what the CK9 capsule sounds like. So it's a very, very long shotgun, 2 meters away from my mouth. So that's that one. Let's move on to another mic. What we've got now is probably the most popular shotgun in the world for first time buyers. We suggest a Shure Sm7b, don't we, if you want to go and buy a dynamic microphone. It's not the best microphone in the world, but loads of people buy it as their first mics, and I certainly did. And then you buy others that do slightly different things and sound slightly different. But the Sennheiser 416 is a short shotgun. This particular one is inside a furry cover, inside a Zeppelin windshield, and it lives in that permanently. I don't take it out. And that's what we've got. It's about 1.5 meters, so 1.5 meters from my mouth. And that's the sound of a Sennheiser 416. Now, if you are a sound recordist and you want better or different sounding shotguns, that's perfectly easy to do. There's some really lovely ones out there that have got tonal differences. They don't sound drastically different, but some might be a bit smoother, some might be a bit brighter. Most of them, it's the length that sets the reach. So the longer the shotgun, the further away from the source it can be. The sound quality of it changes. That's the difference. You can have bright sounding ones, you can have mellow sounding ones, whatever you like best. Lots of people have their own personal favourites, and that's, you know, perfectly okay. So that's the sound of a Sennheiser 416, 1.5 metres from my mouth. Comparison wise, a couple of cardioids. First one, the Shure Sm7b that we've been using for a lot of the videos as our comparison mic. Dynamic, clipped into its angle poised light stand. This is the normal sort of sound an SM7 will give you, and I'm about 500mm, 18 inches away from it. So that's the SM7B sound. And the last mic, the AKG 414, my favourite condenser, about the same distance as the SM7. So we've got a whole variety. I'll go back through them just so you get that change again. So we've got the AKG 414 microphone, the SM7B microphone, the Sennheiser 416 microphone, the AKG, the CK9 capsule microphone, and we've got the short shotgun, unbranded, sitting on top of this JVC camera. So there we go, that's Saturday catch-up. Maybe we've filled a few little holes in your knowledge and let you hear what some of these more unusual microphones sound like. So see you next time. Don't forget to click the subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.